you, Dr. Shama Mohamed, are these emails proof of China dictating a certain narrative? Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur says NewsClick, Congress and China are linked through an anti-India umbilical cord, ma'am.
See, Anurag Thakur is basically a joke. He's the man who said, no, goli maro salo ko. So I'm not going to listen to him. Now, first and foremost, who broke the story? The New York Times. Now, the New York Times is New York Times, The Guardian, Washington Post, Economic Times, according to the Bharatiya Janata Party, are anti-nationals, because when the New York Times spoke about during the COVID time against Mr. Narendra Modi and what he did not do, when the New York Times says there is no democracy in India, when the New York Times says that the Muslims are hunted down in India, at that point of time, the BJP says, we do not listen to New York Times, they are anti-national. Now, I want to know, why did Anurag Thakur take a story from New York Times and is believing that such a story? You can't have double standards, number one. Number two, I want to ask Mr. Anurag Thakur, you said something just now, Gaurav Samant, you said, peddle Chinese narrative. That was what you just now said. Who peddled Chinese narrative? Mr. Narendra Modi. Na koi gussa hai, na koi gussega. When after 20 of our soldiers were martyred, Narendra Modi said nobody entered into Indian territory and no military post was taken. Exactly what the Chinese said. Wait, I'm not finished. Let me finish my point. And at that point, we also know that they banned a couple of apps, and those were TikTok, there was something called Me Community and various others. After that, COVID happened. And what did Mr. Narendra Modi do? He started something called the PM Cares and says it's a private fund, but where he solicited money.
You haven't answered my question. I asked you a question. You haven't answered. No, ma'am, I will not let you digress from the debate that I have asked you. But the questions you've raised, I will get Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP to respond. Hold on. Ma'am, it cannot be a long monologue. You've made a point. Let me get Aparajita Sarangi to respond.
Just give me half a second.
Ma'am, hold on. I'm coming back to you. No point wasting time on this. Aparajita Sarangi, Congress has called all these claims absurd. If investigations have actually been carried out since 2021, what action has been taken post these investigations? And the Congress asks, you believe the New York Times today, you didn't believe them during COVID times when they raised all the issues that Dr. Shama Mohamed talks about. Aparajita Sarangi.
See, whatever has been spoken in the Lok Sabha and thereafter by the Minister of Information and Technology, Mr. Anurag Thakur, are nothing but the truth. And I think the Congress should have the courage to accept what has come out in the New York Times. See, there is a report from Heidelberg and they actually create a ruckus in the Lok Sabha talking about Adani and within quotes its misdeeds. So they cannot have double standards. Just before the start of a parliament session, they bring that report from a particular foreign organization and they talk about Adani and the organization's misdeeds, I reiterate, within quote. But at the same time, when New York Times on 5th of August 2023 brings out a report saying that one Neville Roy Singham got funding to the tune of 38 crore from China, and in turn he made this entire funding to NewsClick, and then in fact everything was traced to the love of Congress for China and the love of the Communist Party for China. I think this is something which smacks of arrogance, and this also speaks of double standards. So I think this is a very serious matter, and I must say security of our country is of utmost concern, and this China, Congress and NewsClick are indeed part of a sinister design to destabilize the country and to weaken Prime Minister Modi's government through rumors.